and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers, all you divine lovers of life out there. In this video, I wish to share something so deeply connected to the next level of the human evolution, and something that I have been preparing for behind the scenes for quite a long time. I want to present to you firstly my 10th level mastery course called the Tantrika, and in this video I wish to share a little more about what this means and the next step in my own path and in the path of the human evolution at large. So, as you know, and for those of you who've been following my words and my dedications and spirit devotions for quite a while, you know that I have shared so much with you, and this gift coming with the gift of word. And I've shared so much on many different topics, on many layouts, and as Spirit showed me, these were all important because they were leading up to the culmination of that which many of us were coming into as this new foundation for the human embodiment. I've started working with the yogic awareness, the master, Mahavatar actually, Babaji, and some of the great cosmic connections. As you know, I've shared this with you before, the level of what I share for and I receive directly from Spirit, this comes in co-creation with these masters, but it always comes in pure devotion to the light of Spirit and the Holy Spirit, creation of all life. And in this video, I wish to share the nature of this course because it's so encompassing, it is so vast, it is so huge, it's complex, and yet in the nature of divine paradox, it's also simple. And the great masters have been sharing with me through Spirit that a lot of people, a lot of humans still perceive this and this level of our yogic attainment as something incomprehensible, as something as far-reaching, right? It's something that we cannot apply in our daily lives, in our reality. It's something that we can only read about through the attainment of different masters and yogis of many ages to come and pass. So I have prepared for you firstly a description video. It's a free course on this physical ascension yogic path and Tantrika, which you can follow up. It's a free course, it's a preparation for this video course that's overextensive. It's many hours long in duration. It's not really important that you have perhaps been taking other courses that have been preparing for this path. A lot of you have been doing this work on your own level of your own spirit attainment, and for that I do applaud you if you have been doing that work of devotion for yourself, because my mission is always to encourage you to develop the spirit connection on your own. It is not my nature to teach anyone. It is my nature to share these sacred teachings and tools that really guide us into the true depth of what it is to be alive. Because a lot of people, we talk about we're alive. Yes, we are alive, but we're not really living. A lot of the people, from the moment they're born, they're already starting to age. Well, the new human is the human that is consciously aware of their life force. You know, just like many masters, they have been sharing that when they were no longer necessary, when they were called by Spirit to exit their physical human form, they did that through will, at will. So they knew how to elevate that consciousness and move to the next level. They knew how to do that. But what I'm showing is that this is not just something that a few people can attain. It's the next level of human evolution. So as I've been really guided to develop this Tantrika course, I have spent a week pretty much in silence, just doing my devotional breath work and the tantric cultivation, the raising of the life force, the cultivation of the life force, and the usage of that life force in co-creation with Spirit for the rebirthing and regeneration of the body. Because what is happening in this new age, where we are now, this age has become so informational. We have come to the culmination point of how much we can actually receive, how much our brain can store at the level where our embodiment is holding us now. But we need to go deeper. There's a sacred calling from the Spirit, from the masters, from the group of what I call the Sacred White Brotherhood that I also devote to and serve. There's a calling to go deeper. And if you have been reading any materials, perhaps the autobiography of the yogi from Paramahansa Yogananda, or anything from Babaji, I've been recently reading from Marshall Govindan about the Babaji and the secret teachings of the Siddhas, the 18 Siddhas, and the tradition of these yogis. It's beautiful work. I recommend it to everyone. I use it as a few referencing points in my course, but my course goes into the very nature of divine union on a level that it's so simple, and yet people have lost the sacred knowledge. Because it's time for us to start using our life force to constantly recreate, because we use so much of our life force that is being depleted and drained, and we're decaying in so many ways, and using these activities and not knowing how to consciously breathe, and even not understanding the science behind this, because the true yogis have been calling this sacred artwork of the Kriya yoga. They've been calling it as a science, and I call it a spiritual science because it's the union of both. It's the understanding of how we work with energy. First, we have to understand how our physical body works, how we work with the spiritualization of our life force, because it's not just to learn to breathe. The breathing is not just to, okay, we breathe a little deeper. It's not all about that. It's understanding the creation, core level of the shadow aspect, the light aspect. I call it the womb of creation, and that pure life force of spirit, unifying that, becoming that as a vessel for this union. Because before we do that, we're always going to be, in a way, kind of traveling in this duality between light and dark, but never fully understanding it on the core creation level. And these principles of creation are very much rooted in this, what I call the Tantrika and the physical ascension path, because our ascension is not informational. There's many levels that different beings have been attaining their consciousness. We know sages who have been mastering their mental abilities and have mastered themselves on a mental plane. There's also saints who have been mastering themselves on a spiritual plane. And then there's siddhas who have been attaining this perfection also in human form, on all these 4 levels of our lower bodies, all encompassed as one. So the thing is, my next level of devotion, and I've been guided towards this path, it's been a part of this path, it's almost been like laid out as in these sequences, as these stepping stones for me, and for all those of you who've been kind of like moving with me on this path as Ascension pioneers, as pillars of light, and beautiful seeds of this divine wisdom that we're not just sharing, but we're embodying it more and more. So it's time to go deeper. Ascension is not a mental process. I talk about the nature of ascension in so many of my videos, but now it's time to go deeper. And I have been preparing for this, not just with this course, but also what I wish to present to you as my next level of my path, which is going to be providing life force ascension retreats. So people have been asking me throughout time to visit. They want to come to this beautiful place in the Alps. They want to share with me. They want to come. Perhaps they want a session, anything like that. But there's also a misperception that I have noticed many times with the people and their idea of what I am and what I do. It's not been correct. These retreats that I will hold, and even personal visitations, will not be based around just having fun. Coming here and having a little bit of fun and then you go back. Because to retreat does not really mean to come somewhere, kind of unplug for a while and then you go back to your normal daily life, daily routine, but you never really do the work. My physical ascension devotion is based on you understanding the level of this attainment through devotion and practice and commitment to that. Because your body is a vessel that can either be used to decay, or you're moving up with this spiral of ascension, which is a pro-life. It's pro-life force. And I've been working behind the scenes, and people have been asking me why I already don't start doing this. It's because the time wasn't right. I needed to physically attain my own level of mastery so that I'm able to hold this space and to assist in other people's physical ascension paths when they're seeking guidance, when they're seeking greater understanding, when they feel they don't yet have all the perfect guidelines there. And a lot of people, I've noticed, they have become so even brainwashed with what they perceive to be unity and oneness, and I call it the illusory sense of oneness, which is what many masters have been saying. This is when this fake samadhi kicks in, when you think, I have all the answers, I think I know, but you don't yet know. And that's where the danger and many pitfalls of that are actually behind the scenes working against us when we're not really waking up. And a lot of these people have been trying to teach others how to live, and they've been telling them what to do. They're trying to wake others up when they themselves are not yet awake. They don't yet understand the true wisdom that's behind the act of physical ascension. So if you've been reading any works of the masters, even the autobiography of a yogi from Paramahansa, he talks about how people are misguided and how they're deluded and what is not the true path. And for a while, there's only been a few who've been holding that wisdom, and people weren't ready. And for a larger proportion of that, it's been because of fear, and also now because of this fake concept of unity, which is we're all the same, and it's just all light, and there is no shadow, it doesn't exist, it's all an illusion. The illusion is when you think there is no duality, and you become a part of that, which is only one-sided integration, which is not true integration within the unified self. Because the first thing, if we really want to cultivate our own life force, and then spiritualize it, and then bring it back into our body, this is what I teach in my course, is we have to become masters of the sovereignty of what does it mean to have this free choice in our bodies. And all the 4 levels of our lower bodies being mastered as one. So if you've been working on your attainments, you've been walking that path, and you felt there's something greater and deeper, this is it. This is this next level. It's the level where this mastery, this union with the self is brought into physical form. And this is now not just something a few masters have been achieving, but it's not as the belief in many of the New Age circles that goes around, and this is also mentioned in these beautiful works of arts from the masters, is that it's just naturally happening. Right now, Earth is ascending. We don't need to do anything. It's just happening. We only need to believe that all is one. It's not a belief. Because if we don't actually work with our bodies and learn to cleanse our channels, because we need to clarify, we need to cleanse our channels, our nadis, right? This is we have a main central channel for the white light. I call it the white column, the white light column. And then we have the nadis, which are different vortices in the body. And for us to really understand energy, feel energy, to know there's result from it, not just have it as a wishful thinking, we do need knowledge. And a lot of people are saying, well, that's just an illusion, we're all one, it doesn't exist, and they're not doing any work. The reason why I've been sometimes a little bit of strict in my videos is people call me sometimes, they say, you're negative. I'm not negative, I'm truthful. And if you've been reading those works from other master beings, they've been sharing the same things. They've been pinpointing the things that are the nature of critical thinking, which is a part of the discernment. It's not judgment, it's pure discernment, that we can move into the unified light of who we truly are and learn to generate that and learn to be fully responsible for all those levels of the lower bodies and unify them and actually be consciously responsible for our physical bodies. How do we engage our life force? Who do we associate with? Do we want to just kind of like have it as a free spur of energy, or do we want to consciously direct it? Because in my own life, I have been many times judged when I said no to certain things. I said, no, I do not wish to participate in that part of sexuality. For me, that's not the purest. For me, that's not the highest source of what I'm here for and what I'm meant to create. And people have been mocking me and telling me, well, you think you're better than others. No, I never think that at all. But my path has been leading me to that which is true attainment. And I've been working so diligently and hard for that. And when this Tantrika essence started to kick in, I was like, oh, I'm feeling it now. Because I've been preparing for it. And that's one thing, that preparation of the body vessel. And then the other thing is to allow that descent of that divinity to really come into a form. And it's not always going to be what you believe it is. But it has to be sovereign. It has to be truthful. It has to be worked with diligence. Okay, so moving on to, I want to explain a little bit about what the nature of this course is focused around. So I wanted to synthesize all of this knowledge that I hold on this because it's immense. And years ago, I received this guidance because I was asking for my soul group and initiative to really align with that, to be truthful in my purpose, to not be scattered in my energy and how I create. And the essence that came through was the pillar of creation and the giver of life. And I didn't understand it at first. And I was asking myself many questions, and then I just allowed it to come. And as it started coming, piece per piece, I was slowly starting to see all of these pieces coming together. how my life force created many of the things that I myself did not always understand. But the more further I allowed this to occur as a sacred alchemy in my body, and I started bringing more of that devotion, not just to mentally understanding it, but also physically applying it, that is when the Tantrika essence started to really descend. And it's such a devotion because a lot of the times, because of this perception that we only have to live our lives, we don't need to do anything. Yes, that's one part, and that's really true. But how you direct, how high you will have that perception of life and reality does depend on you and your sovereign choice. And you can either choose on that level or more expanded level, even more expanded level. So when you work with first understanding yourself as a being, and that's why I wanted to create in the course this emphasized, synthesized version, because a lot of people don't understand these yogic teachings and they're too complex for them. I wanted to bring them through like how Spirit shows me in the direct transmission. So I've been writing my notes on this topic for quite a while. It's been like a huge pile of information directly received from Spirit. And then I read the book, and it was always the same pattern. I channeled that from my spirit, and then I was shown that in the book, and it all aligned. And I was even laughing because this Tantrika course is the 10th level, and I remember reading about in this one of the books about Babaji. That's when I first heard of him, and I was like, wow, Babaji, wow, what was that? It was many years ago. And I remember reading that he's a 10th density level of being. And I know a lot of people will say, well, that doesn't exist. Yes, it does exist. Different levels of consciousness and attainment that different souls have mastered, and when they reside as a being, they do exist. And it's not a hierarchy, it's not lower, higher, it's just wider, more expanded. And these beings, these great avatars, they have such an immense expanded way of how much far-reaching their essence is. They don't have to be physically incarnate, but the teachings they bring, and through many devoted disciples and people who are willing to do that work. You know, there were so many beautiful ashrams that were created as a part of this movement back in the days. And now what's happening is that we ourselves are becoming that ashram. That's the next level. That's what Spirit shows me, is that we are becoming these sacred temples. This knowledge, what I've shared with you before, is this direct source transmission. When you become a unified soul, when you embrace this path of unity, you don't think now you know everything, you've got it all figured out. There's such a humility in it. And yet you start receiving in a wholly new way, in this holistic, I can't explain it with words, it's very transcendental, but you know it, and it's so pure, and it teaches through you. So I want to share my experience also, how this was made to be, not just the content of the course, which is going to be self-obvious as you take the course if you're so guided and called through your soul. But it was like I was doing my tantric cultivation on the beach, you know, by the water. And I was in different poses, and I was breathing, and I was shown how this works directly. And then I wrote it in my notebook. And then I look at the book, and everything kind of fit together. But what I received was direct. And the nature of this course is not meant to simply, you know, to bring you something I read somewhere and then that's never my work. I don't want to do that. It's flat. Everything I bring through and ever have brought through was through direct experience. So when I was doing these poses and I was doing my own attainment, and I felt how important and how blissful and somatic is when you devote to this. And it's so important, and a lot of people will, you know, when they take the book and they read it, they put it back on the shelf, or they watch a video, it's interesting, not for me, and they put it back. But so few are ready to start walking this as a daily practice, daily devotion. And these yogis have been, you know, they've been putting everything out there for all of us now that are alive here and now. And with the rising of the energy of the planetary kundalini as well, it's not that it's self-obvious and it's just going to happen for us because the planet is in a way moving into a higher state of its evolution. Not for us if we're not doing anything about it, and if we're not ready, or if we're this false illusory oneness that's just, it's an illusion. Because there's so many people that I see, they're talking about unity and oneness and saying things like namaste, or we're all one, I'm another you, and all of that. But what they embody in truth and how much they are still in that fragmented separation will show. The moment you expose that through sovereignty and you say, well, look, perhaps this is not all you think right now, you know, go deeper, and they're going to be like, oh no, you know, starting to judge and all of that. And this will quickly show how much far away we are in our embodiment from that which we're saying is namaste, we're all one, unity to you, you know, love and light and all of that. I'm not mocking those words. I'm not saying they're not true, but we have been abusing words. You know, I have to tell you the truth. There's many beings who over the years approached me and they've been telling me, wow, I like your energy. I also do Tantra. And they've been telling me what Tantra is. I'm like, that's not Tantra. It's like, that's physical ascension. And it's like, no, that's the same as Tantra. I'm like, no, it's not the same thing. There's levels, there's understanding. You need wisdom to apply this. And it's not all just in one box. I know you think you have it all figured out. It's like you have to, when you look at the nature of the souls and when they're expanding and when they're ready to master something and the level of the spiritual planes we simultaneously exist within, there's so much studying. There's so much application. There's so much humility to that. And now when we're in this human form, people act like as if they already know everything. We don't know everything. We know what we know in the moment, and it has to be received through that humility and grace. So the thing is, when people come and approach you that way, and I've seen so many times that this Tantra is a word misused as well. And I was even more passionate to do this course because I wanted to bring the truth that is pure, it's sovereign. It's like to cultivate this, to learn how to work first, you know, learning how to even circle the energy in your body. That's a first. You have to get to know how energy works. You have to learn to feel the energy. Meditation is not just up there. It has to be brought into the lower aspects. And I explain the whole dynamic of our creation self, how it functions, the downwards, the upwards, how we merge, because the unification is the aspect that makes us immortal in a sense. And I teach about this longevity and immortality conjoined as one. And what's the truth? And what's really the sacred breath? It's not just breathing a little bit more deeply and that's it. And the thing is that I've seen so much of that, which is still physical attraction and physical sexuality, hidden behind the, you know, now you say Tantra and now it makes it all different. No, it doesn't. If you're still impure in your sexuality, if you're not fully responsible for your life force, because I've had people who come to me and they say, wow, I can give you the most cosmic orgasm you've ever had. I'm like, what? Who are you, first of all? Why are you saying these things? And thirdly, no one can give you anything, not even an orgasm. It's all self-created. So there's a lot of misperception, and that's been my drive throughout this life. There was a deep yearning in me to go beyond that, because there's so many people who live in the flat illusion. And they put meaning to words that's not the essence of that in truth. And they're hiding behind these spiritual terms and words and judging those of us who have true knowledge and understanding about this because they're saying we're simply too judgmental. It's not the truth. So what I wanted to present through this course is firstly the awareness of who you are as a human, why you have this body, the different functions in your body physically, energetically. I'm teaching you, not teaching you, but sharing these teachings of how the energy works in your body, what are different parts, energetic aspects of the body meant for. It's very simple. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's not like, you know, it's just pure science of how we were created as beings. And to have a knowledge of life and how life is birthed and created in creation, it takes time and patience and understanding. But I'm saying that's not just for the few. That's why I'm so guided and eagerly, you know, called to share all of this, because I am shown that it is the next step in human evolution. So even though you perhaps feel, wow, that's new, I'm a beginner, this course is for the beginners. Although you say, oh, it's 10th level, wow, it's more advanced. Yes, it is more advanced and it is intense, but it's also for beginners because it compiles everything in its physical. It's my most practical course I've ever developed. You know, and I've had all these moments that I just knew it was so true, and I was so called to create it, and everything aligned. I went to the library with my mother when she borrowed the Paramahansa's book, you know, and I was there. I touched the book. I said, I just want to open on the random page, and I did it, and it was exactly where the image of Babaji was like, and I was laughing, and I felt he's really inspiring me and guiding me to co-create this. And then she was reading it one day on the beach, and I see the book again. I'm like, oh, let's try this exercise. And I was laughing. I said, yeah, I wonder if I can pull that off again. Probably just a coincidence. And then I opened the book again, same page, Babaji's image. And I'm laughing. I'm like, what are the odds? You know, the feeling that permeated all over me at that time was a clear knowing, this is right. This is what I need to do. This is my path. And it was such a eagerness, because I see so much infatuation in people when sometimes they approach you, right, with their beginner's mind. And it's nothing wrong with the beginner's mind. We all have to start somewhere. what is dysfunctional is when we think that this is it. This is all we know, and we've already got everything figured out, and we've already mastered, but we're not. And many masters will tell you the same thing. So if you really want to learn this extensive knowledge of who you are at the core creation level, how your body functions, what are the important things, how you cultivate, everything of that is in my course. There's many different sections. I teach you about the art of breath, but also not just that breath which you perceive as your physical breath, but the merging of this unified breath with the Holy Spirit, which is that light of creation, that's that infinite spark. And then the art of no breath, which is the eternal nature of who we are. And then combining that for our longevity, for our immortality, because if we don't do that, if you don't learn to cultivate, if you don't learn to self-regenerate with that cosmic breathing, if you don't learn to unify, then we won't rise up to that level. That's the thing. For every one of us, we can think in the mind, we're such masters, but if we never bring it to the body, our physical body will never experience that. It won't experience physical ascension. And my path has always been the dedication to the white light, the white ray of unity, consciousness, and physical ascension. This knowledge is out there. This alchemy of the sacred understanding in the spirit science is there. But we have to take the higher road now. Those of you who are called, it is time to go deeper, because we've talked a lot and I've seen a lot of people talk about it. But I felt in myself this culmination, like it can't move forward in true embodiment just like this. It has to now reach beyond. It has to reach that transcendental level now, because it's ripe. So in the course, I teach all that. There's many different explanations I provide with many different sketches, so you can have a deeper understanding between just learning how to feel your body and learning how to circle the energy in your body, and learning how to then raise your life force and how to cultivate it. But that rising comes from the spiritualization, and I explain this process, what it is. I've been talking about it in my free videos, but here I go really into the depth of understanding that I've been kind of working on behind the scenes. I did not want to reveal it because the time wasn't yet right, and I didn't fully embody it myself yet. And I always do that. I provide things when they're ripe, when I feel, this really rooted now in my own embodiment. This is centered now. So, if you want to go deeper, what can you expect from this course? Like I said, first of all, I explain the physical nature of the body. I explain the energetics of the body. I explain how to work with the energy of the body, how to become a master of your body and the life force, how to regenerate, how to basically shape yourself into the understanding of being an immortal being. Experiencing this mortal framework, and yet more and more refining it through your divinity, becoming the seed of divinity, merging that seed of the consciousness, the dark aspect, the womb, and the light, that eternal sacred breath. And then you unifying that, and you being that conductor. You are the ashram now. You are that source self. You can be the holy sacred Tantrika. What is the Tantrika? I explain all of this. I explain the nature of this union of the Tantrika and the yogi, and the difference of doing yoga or being a yogi, as in a consciousness. Because yoga, as in physical exercises, was always meant to generate the energy and to activate the chakric system, which then really feeds into all of our physical, extensions and the body organs, and then moving into the cells. So the Kriya yoga functions around the cellular breathing, which is the internal breathing respiration, not just the external with the lungs. So there's a whole science behind this, and yet there's a deeper aspect too, because what I share is also about the spiritualization of the life force and how we do it. I show you direct exercises, different levels. First is just learning how to circle the energy in the body. Then I show you how to just, do that basic raising, then the cultivation, and then how to use that. And use the orgasmic life force to self-rejuvenate, becoming a self-birthing being, because you have to learn how to give yourself life if you really want to live, instead of just feeling yourself as I'm alive, and that's it. Your consciousness can do magical things, and what it was shared about these yogis was, well, they have magical yogic abilities. In the true nature of our divine self, it's not perceived as magic. We as humans describe it as such. So what else? Boy, it's too long course. I gave you the explanation of all the breath. So I also show you some of the tantric dancing to show you how with that dancing, ecstatic, blissful energy, you can cultivate that, the life force through that expression. And what is the difference, and how to actually understand your body as needing all these levels to be aligned. So when you're working with the physicality of your body, understanding the meaning of your body as in strength and endurance and flexibility, and also meditation and relaxation, why all these aspects of you must be aligned in perfect harmony and addressed as equals. Because like I say, people perceive a lot of the times ascension to be happening through them. But ascension is actually happening because of you, because you are becoming an ascended consciousness, and therefore this consciousness creates your body, your sexuality, which is not even the sexuality we now refer to as sexual, but it's a much higher form of sexuality, which is life-giving, it's life-affirming, is you can create anything through that. So all the years I've been talking about the life force is now being culminated in this source of magnanimous proportions, which is here to help you become your own physical ascended being. And if that somehow you feel a calling in your soul, a stirring, that is a part of your path, I highly recommend you to take that course. There's a lot of explanations I offer there. I cannot mention everything here now because then the video would be too long, but please consider taking the course. And I was working very hard on everything and getting all together in a form that would be a format where everything could be synthesized in one thing. So although it is a few hours long, it is as most synthesized and practical as I could make it. And if you're considering making that a part of your daily devotions, that's the intention of the course. Because when we feel life force as something sacred, we don't approach it as in, okay, I feel bad in the moment, or I'm stressed now. Okay, I'm going to do this cultivation to feel a little better. This is not a betterment. This is not an improvement. This is not a self-help kind of thing. Physical ascension is an act of constant reverence, of constant understanding the divinity and how divinity can be embodied in form and create these miraculous extensions of who we are. I've also received a message from Spirit that all the primaries are now, these are divine primaries of creation, are now embodied through their physical human extensions. And I was in deep reverence and awe when I received this, and it felt like this completion. But now we are here to share this work, to get it across to the people who are ready. We can never make people do what they don't want to do and they're not called to do. But those who are called, who are ready, this is not the time. It's time to go deeper. There's also a beautiful documentary I watched online about the nature of samadhi. I want to share a link with all of you as well. It's a beautiful movie because it talks about this as well. What is the true samadhi in relation to the comparison of what is that false samadhi, which is an illusion, is an escapism. And it's a beautiful documentary. It's a beautiful work of love. And there's so much out there for those of you who want to walk this path. So take that free course online that I offered. It's a preparatory stage for some of the things that are important to understand before you take the course. I share that as my love to life. I am in deep reverence and love to life. For me, life is something, it's not to be taken for granted. Life was created with such vastness of love, and my love was always the love of creation. It was not just the love for the few humans. It wasn't that selective. It was the love of the truth. And for me, to belong to that realm of that understanding is a constant work of devotion and commitment. And all of that is self-obvious in this course. That is a labor of love and this higher force of spirit that just guided me and did that through me. And I invite you to consider that. It's not a prerequisite, so you could take other courses that I did on self-mastery before. It is kind of like, what could I say? It's not necessary, you know. It's kind of like selective. You can do that, and it's very good if you do so. But if not, I want to say it's for everyone. Either way, it's not selective, because I really feel, and I know that to be true, that everyone now can become this. We have reached a level with this critical consciousness of the mind, but the mind now has to be, with all that it absorbed, all that we now know it to be true, it's time to do the work in our embodiment. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you take the course. I love you all so very much. And I also want to share now in this last part about my physical ascension retreats here in the Alps, that this part of my journey begins in the spring. I will open the doors. You will get a promo video out there when it's time first of all, I'll just be accepting those of you who are called to come and visit me individually, because a lot of people have been asking me that, or they're close here somewhere in Europe and they wanted to come and visit. But please consider my humble request right now that a lot of people have been wanting to meet me and share with me, but I really invite you to consider before coming here or taking your initiative to come and visit. It's not to visit me and get to know how I live. It's not about me. My mission is to help people with their physical ascension and their cultivation of life force. I want to be teaching, and that's what I do. I want to help them to learn how to do that, to become self-source beings, to become self-birthing beings. My mission is not to just share here having debates about things, or filling up your interests. There's books and there's immense research and all of that, and you can do that on your own time. My greatest heart desire and mission was always to teach people how to connect with their own spirit, not to teach them stuff, but to show them how you really connect to that. And then once you do that connection, the other part is that life force and constant embodiment process, which does not start and end, but it's a continuous spiral of our evolution. So if you're called, consider that. Have that in mind, that this is what the focus of these retreats, whether you visit me for a daily retreat here in the Alps, we're going to have that focus on the life force. We can visit beautiful places, waterfalls, mountains, whatnot, but the focus will still be about that. And this is my main emanation, even, in the physical presence. So consider that before making a, kind of like a calling out to me, towards me. That this is what I do, this is who I am, this is my essence, and this is what I was born to do, born and raised here. So thank you for understanding, and I do invite you in this sacred space. So stay out, stay tuned for these 2 promo videos coming out as soon as I open my doors for these visitations. I'm so excited. I was working very hard and really preparing for this next level. And as always, Spirit always shows me, not time yet, or not for you, wait for it. And with patience comes the true path and the truth in its human embodiment. I love you so much. Take care, and namaste. Here's to life.